In this position, Capablanca captured the rook on f8. His opponent recaptured with the king, but Stockfish finds an incredible idea of capturing with the knight and then letting these two pawns both become queens. Now, why would Stockfish want to let you get two queens? Well, I'm glad you asked. I'm going to show you in just a second. There's an incredible idea here. I didn't see it. Capablanca and his opponent didn't see it. The author of this book didn't see it, who actually analyzed the position and wrote some, lines. He didn't see it. Like, this is wild. I'm going to show you the game. This is game number 14 in a series where we're going through this book, Capablanca's Best Chess Endings. I think you guys are going to appreciate this one. Let's take a look. Hey guys, before we get into the video, quick reminder that my Scandinavian course is on sale. It's about half off. It ends today. That sale was going for this week. It started on Monday and now it's Friday. This is the last day for you to get that good price. So I'm going to put a link in the description. Make sure you check that out if you want to learn how to play the Scandinavian. It's a great answer to e4. You're playing as black. They play e4. You want something to immediately surprise them. Scandinavian is what you want. Check out the link in the description and let's get back to the video. All right, so here we go. So Capablanca is playing with the white pieces and we get a Sicilian, actually an open Sicilian, and black goes into what's called the dragon, where they fianchetto this bishop here. Usually can lead to some very exciting games and positions. And this is kind of not the style that I'm used to seeing with Capablanca's games. Most of his games, he trades off lots of pieces early and there's not really much attacking. This one was a little bit of an exception, I would say. So he goes for queen d2. Now, this is a good idea to keep in mind. When someone fianchettos a bishop against you, if you want to attack their king, creating a battery with your queen and bishop, this is called a battery when you line up on the same diagonal, you can come down here and then trade off that bishop. It's going to be easier to attack their king because right now this bishop is actually a really good defender of the king. And so an easy and simple way to kind of make it easier to attack is to go ahead and trade that bishop off. Okay, so that is exactly what he does in this game. A few moves later, he plays bishop h6 and he's going to and you'll notice they can't save their bishop. If they try to go back to avoid the trade, well, then you're going to take the rook, right? And of course, if they take you, your queen comes in. So however you look at it, you're going to be able to force a trade. Bishop goes back. He does trade it. And then f4, okay? Another good idea. When you're trying to attack someone's king, you usually are going to need at some point to use a rook. And a good way to do that is to open up a file by pushing a pawn forward and trading it off or letting them trade you, either way. And then the rook can come into the game and now you can start attacking stuff, right? Imagine if you could take here and put your queen, let's just say here or here, you'd be threatening to take the knight. And you could see how that could be beneficial if you want to attack. So Capablanca actually being aggressive in this game, kind of unlike him. He plays knight to d5. We get a trade. c4, supporting the pawn on d5. Notice the knights were attacking it and Capablanca just defends. Okay, great. Knight f5 saves his queen. e4 saves his queen again. Queen check, blocks, and gets out of the pin. It's generally not a good idea to stay in a pin like that. It's very dangerous. It opens up tactics for your opponent. And so Capablanca wisely sidesteps the pin. All right. And here we go. We get a trade of knights. f5. Again, same idea. He wants to trade and open up the rook, right? We already talked about it. You want to attack, you got to use your rooks. Usually this is a good way to do it. Rook comes over, b4, queen over, he takes, and c5. Now, at first glance, it looks like this might be a blunder, right? Like, what's going on here? 1, 2, 1. Like, is he just giving away this pawn for free? Pause the video. Why did Capablanca play c5 here when it looks like he's just giving away a pawn for free? All right, if you had a chance to look at that. So actually, his opponent did capture. And here is Capablanca's idea. He's not going to recapture right away. He's going to play this in-between Zwishenzug move, d6. It's an unexpected move. He says, go ahead, take my rook. I'll take your queen. And obviously, that's a good trade for Capablanca. So he's not going to do that. And what does this move do? Well, it forces the queen to do something else, which is going to allow him to take here. Now, you might be noticing the move queen e5, which actually was played in the game. And queen e5 actually does defend the pawn. And even after the trade, which is what happened, he's still defending the pawn. What's going on? Well, Capablanca captured it anyway. His opponent did not take the free pawn. Why not? All right, if you had a chance to look at that. So this is really important that you understand this, especially at the end of the game. When you have a passed pawn that's on the 6th or 7th rank, okay, especially. 6th rank is here, 7th rank is here. If you have a pawn on one of these ranks, there is a very good chance that at some point you might have a tactic where you can push that and either get a queen or cause major problems to your opponent that they have to sacrifice a piece to stop you from getting a queen. That is what you want to be looking for in situations like this. So the move is, if you want to pause again, or if you maybe already found it, rook takes f6. Because once you get rid of the knight and the rook has to come up here, guess what? How are you going to stop me from getting a queen now? You can't go here, I just take you. You can't come behind because I have my rook behind. So the only thing black could do would be to go here, but now you have to sacrifice your rook. And at the end of the day, he's actually just up a piece. Capablanca has an extra bishop now, right? So really nice tactic there, but that is why his opponent did not take the pawn on c5. Okay? So instead, he plays knight to d7. Now, this is where we're starting to get into the really interesting moment. So pause the video. There's an amazing move here that Capablanca found white to play. What did he play? All right, if you had a chance to look at that, and if you were paying attention at the start of the video, you maybe could have figured it out based on the position that I showed you there. But bishop takes a6. He's saying, look, I don't care that I'm going to lose my bishop, because once I do, these two pawns are going to be so powerful, my opponent's not going to be able to stop them. That's what he's basically saying. I'm going to just push these connected passed pawns down the board. Now, before we move on, you should ask yourself, well, what happens if black tries to trade here and then just take the pawn? Right? That looks like a pretty good deal. White to play. What can he play here? Well, the answer is you just simply take the pawn, and you're threatening to come down here, kick the knight away, and then keep pushing your pawn. So black has to figure out what they're going to do. If they try to come behind and take you, bishop c4 pins the rook, and you're going to take it next move. So that's no good. What if you come here to try to take the pawn? White has a nice tactic. Check and check, and you win the knight. Okay, so that's no good. What if black instead plays a move like, let's just say, knight f6, attacks the rook, gets away from that tactic that we saw? What now? Rook e8 check. Look at this amazing move, guys. Look at this amazing move. You say, wait a second, Nelson, there's a knight that could take the rook, right? Wrong. d7. Remember, when you have a pawn on the 6th or 7th rank, look for those tactics to push it forward and get a queen. Black has a problem because you're threatening to get a queen here. You're also threatening to get a queen here. So you could save the knight, but then thank you very much, I get the queen here. Or you could stop that with the rook, but then I just take your knight. And so you have no way to deal with both of those threats at the exact same time. This is why it's winning for white. So pretty incredible. And that is why, going back all the way here, black was obligated to take the bishop. You couldn't try to do this. It wasn't going to work. Okay? All right, so black does take the bishop. All right, here we go. Capablanca captures with the rook. Now you will notice black has two options. You take with the king or you take with the knight. In the game, he captured with the king. Now watch the eval bar when he does this, okay? Watch the eval bar. Big mistake, right? Now here's where it gets interesting. The author of the book, Irving Chernow, by the way, I love Chernow's books, fantastic author, really great stuff, okay? So this is not a mark against him. He didn't have engines like we have, obviously. But he mentions in the book, and he says this is the best try for black. You have to try this to try to stop the pawns, because if you play knight takes, that's not going to help you. And here is the line that he gives. He says white's going to play c6. Black's going to go rook c5 to try to stop the pawns. d7, threatening to get a queen. Knight to e6, being, getting ready to sacrifice. So if you push now, he's going to just sacrifice and then take your other pawn. Well, at some point, you're going to have to move the king first, obviously, but that's the idea. Now he takes here, hits the knight. You go back. The check comes in. He takes, and here's a really nice move for white. Rook to f8, sacrificing the rook because now you're going to get a queen. If you try to stop the queen, doesn't matter. I still get a queen. And so however you look at it, white's going to win. Okay, that's a very logical line. I see why he would put that in the book, right? That makes a lot of sense. But he did not see what Stockfish saw. What I'm about to share with you, this idea that Stockfish had of letting white get two queens because there's something better. This is why Stockfish is so ridiculous. The move that Stockfish found. Oh, sorry, that's not the move. That's the move I just showed you. Here we go. The move that Stockfish found. Let me try that again. E3. E3. Stockfish saying, look, yes, there's two pawns that are 2 squares away, but I have a pawn that's only 3 squares, and it comes with a check, and this queen is not going to be checking me, so this actually is a viable option. You say, okay, d7, e2, get the queen with check, but the king runs. Now, what was Stockfish's plan? I mean, you still have another pawn you got to worry about. Like, what are you going to do now? Rook to f5. Okay, I mean, you're defending your king, I guess, but I'm going to get another queen, right? Like, rook to f1. Stockfish wasn't just defending. Stockfish was coming down here to checkmate the white king. That's what it was doing. And you can get your second queen, but it doesn't help you. This is game over. That's checkmate. King is trapped. Wow. Okay, you say, wait a second. What if he doesn't get the queen? What if he, like, throws in a check? You just move. You just move over. There's no more checks because I'll just take your queen. You have no way to check the king. You still have this checkmate problem. So you have to play g3 to stop that. But now I can go rook f2 and force you to lose your queen. And then I come here behind your pawn and I stop it. And black wins. Black wins. Black wins the game. This is amazing. This is what nobody saw. Nobody saw this idea of pushing this pawn down the board and getting a queen. Now, you will notice the eval bar saying it should be a draw, but it's only if white does not try to push any of their pawns and instead comes back here and gets in front of this guy. And now it's a draw. It's still kind of tricky, but for example, knight e6, you can try to push, but let's just say you push this one. He's just going to sack. He's going to go here, and you're just going to get a trade. And this is just a drawn rook ending. 2 against 2, 1 against 1, both rooks. Nothing is going to happen here, right? And then same thing if you push the other pawn. Let's see, it's rook to d5. Very critical move for black, by the way. You could take here, then he defends. And believe it or not, there's just no way to push through here because whatever you might try, for example, let me think. If you try to sack, he just takes you and you actually lose because he's in time to stop you. So you can't do that. If you try to go behind and get ready to push, he's just going to come over. Let me see what the line is here. And then sack the knight. And then again, we get this drawn ending. And there's just no way through. Okay? So with perfect play, okay, going back to this position, with perfect play after the knight captures in c6, this should be a draw. Right? Black would have to see e3. White would have to see to come down here and block it, and you would get a draw. Okay. But in the game, black didn't see that, obviously, and took with the king. Now, you still have to figure out how to win this if you're Capablanca, right? You know, they don't have the engine. They don't have the eval bar saying, yeah, it's a win. Like, you have to figure out, can I win this? So what do you guys think? What should Capablanca do here? Well, the move is c6, right? That's the whole point. Why did he sacrifice the bishop? Because he wanted to push these two connected pawns down the board. So here we go, c6. King e8. At this point, black is realizing, like, these pawns are extremely dangerous. I'm not going to be able to stop them by moving my knight away. I need to just sack the knight and then see what we can do. So what did white play here? I hope you did not say capture the knight. This actually throws away your win, and now it's a draw again. Because look, like, what are you going to do? He's got this pawn. He's going to be able to get your pawn. You're probably going to trade pawns, and it's just going to be a draw. If you play the right moves, you might even lose this position with white, actually. So remember, you know, early in the game, if you have an opportunity for a pawn to take a knight, absolutely do it. But at the end of the game, the passed pawns are extremely valuable, and the move here is c7. You need to get a queen. That's more important than taking a knight. You say, but Nelson, rook c5 stops us. And how are we going to get through this blockade, right? Well, glad you asked. You take here with check, and you go to e7, and you're flushing out the knight, which is blockading you. And the rook is too busy stopping this pawn to do anything. The king is now cut off. And so guess what? The knight has to move. And now what do you do? Really nice move here. There's actually a couple moves. You could sack your rook over here is one way to do it. And then after the knight takes, you could play d7. And they can't stop you. You can take one, but you get a queen. But what happened in the game, he just played d7 immediately, which I think is even cooler. You let him take the rook because you're going to get a queen here. And so black decided to sacrifice the knight. Okay, so you still have this pawn stopped. You get rid of that one. Looks pretty good, right? Takes the knight. And king e8. What do you do now? White to play and win. All right, if you had a chance to look at that, you just go rook d8 check. You force the king out, and then you get the queen. And it's defended by the rook, and it's just a win for white. Okay, so really, really nice. I mean, going back to when Capablanca sacrifices the bishop to basically open up these connected passed pawns, and then you just had that crazy thing where Stockfish is like, no, 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 you take with the knight, and then you let him get two queens, and you'll be able to check. I mean, pretty cool. Hope you guys appreciated that. Don't forget, it's the last day for the Scandinavian course at the the lower price. So the price is going to, it's about half off right now. Price is going to be going up. So definitely take advantage of that. If you haven't, I'll put a link in the description. And thank you guys. I'll see you next time. As always, stay sharp, play smart, and take care.